I'm leaving my wife after 15 years together. We met at 15, married at 26, and I genuinely thought she was my forever person. My parents loved her parents loved me, and for the first 3 years, everything was perfect. Then college hit, and the red flags started piling up. She went to a school 3 hours away from mine. Every single weekend, she expected me to make the drive. Gas cost me $60 round trip, and I was working part-time at a campus bookstore making $9 an hour. When I asked if she could come visit me instead, she'd say her friends' boyfriends never complained about driving. So I'd borrow money from my roommate or drain what little I had in savings just to avoid the guilt trips. I made that drive 47 weekends in a row. After graduation, I saved up $15,000 and bought a small house. She was still living with her parents, rent-free. When work got slow and I couldn't cover my mortgage and groceries, my parents let me move back in temporarily so I wouldn't lose the house. You know what she said? As a man, how do your parents still pay your bills? She made me feel like absolute garbage for accepting help during a rough patch. Meanwhile, she was 24 years old, sleeping in her childhood bedroom. Then came her 26th birthday. I'd been saving for this huge proposal she always talked about, the kind with a photographer and rose petals and a violinist, but I wanted her to know I was serious about marrying her. So I proposed at her birthday dinner with an emerald ring. Cost me $800. The second I got down on one knee, her face fell. She opened the box, looked at it, and said in front of all our friends, "This is so small." I told her I was still saving for the grand gesture she wanted, that this was just to show I was committed. She said she would have preferred to wait than wear something this cheap. I should have walked out right then. I still married her. The wedding planning was absolute hell. She dismissed every idea I had, told me to just pay for everything and let her handle it. I spent $30,000 on a wedding where I had zero input. She wouldn't even let me pick the cake flavor. Then we had our twin girls 3 years ago. Beautiful, perfect little bundles of joy. But my wife changed completely after they were born. She'd snap at them for crying, barely wanted to hold them, complained constantly about how exhausting they were. One night, I came home early from work and saw her hand raised above one of their cribs, screaming at a 6-month-old baby. I grabbed both girls, packed a bag, took them to my parents' house for the entire weekend, and told her she needed therapy immediately, or I was filing for divorce. She blamed postpartum depression and promised to get help. She went to exactly 2 sessions. Fast forward to 2 weeks ago. The twins' second birthday party was at a park pavilion we'd rented. I was flying back from a work conference, landing at 2 p.m. Party started at 3. I texted my wife at noon asking if she could pick me up from the airport. She read it. No response. I texted again at 1:30. Nothing. I had to pay $75 for an Uber and didn't get to the party until 4:30, missing the entire cake ceremony and most of the celebration. When I pulled up, she was inside the pavilion scrolling through Instagram while our daughters were playing alone in the parking lot. Their friends' parents had dropped off their kids and left, assuming an adult was watching. 2-year-olds in a parking lot, alone. I lost it. I asked her why she didn't pick me up. She yawned and said she'd been asleep. "You were asleep? Our daughter's birthday party is happening and you were asleep?" She shrugged and said she was tired from setting everything up. Setting up what? I thought. The pavilion was barely decorated. That night I called a divorce lawyer, started documenting everything with photos and videos. Her birthday was last Tuesday. She'd been dropping hints for weeks about wanting to go to Greece, showing me Instagram posts of white buildings and blue domed churches, sending me links to hotels that cost $400 a night. The morning of her birthday, I left a white envelope on the kitchen counter with Greece tickets written on the front in my handwriting. I heard her scream my name from upstairs. She came running into the bedroom waving the divorce papers, mascara running down her face. "You're ruining my life. I sacrificed everything for you. Everything I did was for this family." I looked at her calmly and said the exact same words she told me 9 years ago at that birthday dinner. I'd rather wait and settle for something cheap. She called her parents sobbing hysterically. They showed up an hour later, her dad yelling about how I was abandoning my family, how real men don't give up when things get hard. I showed him the doorbell camera footage of our daughters playing alone in the parking lot while cars drove past. He watched it twice, went completely quiet, turned to my wife and said, "Pack your things tonight." She moved back in with her parents yesterday. My lawyer says I'll get primary custody based on the neglect documentation and her refusal to continue therapy. The girls asked where mommy went this morning during breakfast. I told them she's staying at grandma's for a while. They said okay and went back to playing with their dolls. They didn't even seem upset or ask when she'd be back. That told me everything I needed to know about what kind of mother she'd been to them these past 2 years.